Hey defenders, welcome back to the channel. We have a lot of movement on the ground right now as we're gearing into the midterm election cycle and our local elections, which is absolutely critical when it comes to exercising your rights. And as a channel that is obviously we're geared around firearms training and Second Amendment rights, we want to focus on that for a minute, and we're going to turn our attention and put our magnifying glass on what's happening on the ground right now in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And this is very ironic because Virginia is the birthplace of the United States, essentially. So let's dive into this. What's going on? I want you to keep in mind on how important local elections are. And maybe you're sick of politics. I know I am, hands down. You know what? The Republican side of the fence has a lot of busybodies that do absolutely nothing, and they're just talking heads, and they write strongly worded letters and that go nowhere and accomplish nothing. And the other side of the fence has gone absolutely insane down the left field, where things are just crazy. And then you have the libertarians somewhere in the middle, certainly, and sometimes they talk a good talk half the time, and then they don't do anything about it, and they end up voting against their own interests, and they shoot themselves in the foot. And if you're part of any of these groups, I'm not here to smack down on you. I'm just saying take a magnifying glass and you look at the behavior of any of these politicians, and it's crappy. I firmly believe that being a politician pretty much means you're probably capitulated in crime, for that matter, right? And as we're seeing, a lot of fraud across the country. Now, be that as it may, if you're not involved in politics, politics will get involved with you. And that's why especially local elections are so critical, and why you're watching all the redistricting happening across the country, both pushed by Trump and his administration, and being pushed by the Democrats across the country, also in blue-run states, because there's a lot on the line, particularly when it comes to your gun rights, and Virginia may very well be a blueprint for the things happening elsewhere in the country. And I'm looking at you, Minnesota. Why? Because we're right here in Minnesota. A lot of my followers and you guys that are on this channel, you're fellow Minnesotans too. And if you're not paying attention what's happening in Virginia, you're not paying attention what's going to be happening here, because I think this is absolutely a blueprint that will get used elsewhere, particularly with the verbiage and terminology that the state is using over in Virginia. Okay, so what are we looking at? We're looking at House Bill 217 and Senate Bill 749. And both of them are essentially trying to do something very similar, and that is to ban essentially high-capacity ammunition feeding devices, magazines, and trying to ban assault rifles. Now, you and I already probably know what assault rifles are. It is a nebulous term used for political drumming up. There is no such thing as an assault rifle, for that matter, okay? And all of us know this. I mean, and they declare that the AR-15 is an assault rifle and it's a weapon of war. And if you know anything about firearms, well, the military doesn't use AR-15s. That's not how that works. They're not, AR-15s are not automatic weapons. It's a political term to drum up support and try to garner that vote from the gun control side of the House, and to try to rustle up people's emotions. And if we've learned anything, man, people run off emotions constantly instead of taking a step back. Now, let's dive into HB 217. So this involves the importation, sale, and manufacture of assault firearms and certain ammunition feeding devices, and they would become prohibited. And this creates a Class 1 misdemeanor for any person who imports, sells, manufactures, purchases, or transfers an assault firearm, as that term is defined in the bill with some exceptions, and prohibits a person who has been convicted of such a violation from purchasing, possessing, or transporting a firearm for a period of 3 years. Now, the bill provides that an assault rifle firearm does not include any firearm that is an antique firearm that has been rendered permanently inoperable, is manually operated by a bolt, pump, lever, or slide action, or is manufactured before July 1st, 2026. This terminology is particularly important because it keeps it specifically vague and nebulous, essentially classifying all semi-automatic firearms, meaning one trigger pull, one bullet, into this category. And so that is vast and sweeping across the board, because that not only includes, say, something like a AR-15, but it also include semi-automatic hunting rifles, semi-automatic shotguns. This would include, you could even include handguns into this as well, because it's not saying rifle, it's saying firearm. And now they have further bills that kind of separate that from handgun. However, terminology and specifics on verbiage are very important, okay? Now, what also is this thing doing? Well, it's also setting up a $500 stamp on the purchase of suppressors in the state because, well, what happened? The federal government has removed the $200 tax stamp. The tax stamp still exists, but the fee is gone, and that's what the big beautiful lawsuit with the FPC and B&T and silencer shop or suppressor shop are doing is that they're attacking that law that went into effect also from the big beautiful bill. It goes even further, saying the bill also makes it a class 1 misdemeanor for any person younger than 21 years of age to import, sell, manufacture, purchase, possess, or transport or transfer any assault firearm regardless of the date of manufacture of such assault firearms, with some exceptions. Now, in Virginia, at least you have some of the Republicans pushing back on this bill actively on the floor. Now, this comes from Ren Williams of District 47, and what he is pointing at is that the way this bill is worded will pretty much make anybody that owns a firearm essentially a criminal.
I was wondering what exactly the law does say about when somebody can sell a grandfathered firearm.
Doug from Fairfax. Doug, help.
Mr. Speaker, the bill is clear on the transfer, sale, import, export of firearms and all of it, and I do encourage the delegate to read the full bill text. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to the bill.
Delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I did read the bill, and we got a problem because, Mr. Speaker, even though the patron did not answer how you could actually sell or transfer one of these grandfathered weapons, the bill does say how you can do it. It says that you can sell it to a firearms dealer or you can sell it to an out-of-state individual. Did you know that it is a federal felony for someone from the Commonwealth to sell a firearm to someone who doesn't live in the Commonwealth? Did you know that? Selling also, that can bring up to 5 years in federal prison. So that's not a good idea. And then this bill right here, this actually makes it a state crime to sell a firearm to a firearm dealer. It says you cannot transfer it to any person, and there is no exception to allowing a dealer to purchase a firearm from you. The only exceptions that are in there is the dealer is able to sell to each other and to law enforcement. So the government can keep their guns, but you can't.
Well, if I can't trade it or give it to somebody else or sell it to an FFL, what can I then do? Well, what he points out is that essentially it's full government, state-level seizure of the firearms, and that's it. That's essentially the only option that you have, or getting shot by people with guns as they come to confiscate your firearms that you are legally allowed to own under the Second Amendment.
But what about buybacks, Mr. Speaker? That's a good option. What about buybacks? That's allowed under this bill. It allows a locality to run them, but it makes somebody who wants to participate commit a misdemeanor. So that doesn't make sense. Oh, okay, we can do give-backs. We can do give-backs. No, can't do give-backs because then the organization putting on the give-back can't accept it because that's a misdemeanor. So what's left, Mr. Speaker? What is left? You can surrender it for nothing to the government, just like Australia. You can give it to a immediate family member, or you can die, and then your heirs can inherit it. That's it. That's the only way you'll be able to transfer a grandfathered rifle here in the Commonwealth without becoming a criminal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is criminalizing the possession, transfer, sale of all legally owned firearms currently in the state of Virginia, which is, I would say tens of thousands of people, absolutely, and hundreds of thousands, maybe even for that matter, overnight being rendered a criminal. I mean, the AR-15, 9mm handguns, these are some of the most common firearms in the country with millions in circulation. And these were legal. And then overnight, these will be made illegal once this bill actually passes. Now, there's another bill that way I want to look at too. This is Senate Bill 749, which actually details a little bit further and is one of the bills that is then up for review also. This one creates a Class 1 misdemeanor for any person who imports, sells, manufactures, purchases, and this is the key word on this one, or possesses or transports or transfers an assault firearm. And how they determine that, as the term is defined in the bill with exception, prohibits a person from who has been convicted of such violation, again, for a 3-year period. Now, how is this defined? This is an antique firearm that has been rendered permanently inoperable, is manually operated by a bolt, pump, lever, or slide action, or is manufactured before July 1st, 2026. Meaning that, again, semi-automatic firearms would be off the table for owning, purchasing, transferring, or selling, or possessing. And the possession part of this is huge, because even the draconian laws that passed in Washington State, and Washington State gun laws, I love this guy's channel, Kirk's channel, really, really good channel. Shout out to them. They were definitely covering this first. We were covering a whole lot of other stuff and teaching a bunch of classes, so we didn't necessarily have a lot of time to get this out. But here we are now talking about it. I think it's important for those of you that follow our channel to be aware of what is happening with these laws, because this is a blueprint to come. The more vague and nebulous that they keep the terminology, especially when it comes to assault-style firearm, which they are now taking off of not just automatic firearms, but they are now transferring that to semi-automatic, and then blanket covering to this, meaning that anything else is illegal, or excuse me, would be legal outside of this. Slide action, lever action, bolt action, and pump action, which means you'd be able to own a hunting rifle or a single shot shotgun or pump action shotguns, and that's pretty much it. Because the way I read this in terminology, and somebody smarter than me can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, is that even something like a handgun, which is semi-automatic, would be removed off of this. Now, maybe a revolver would be allowed in this case, just because of the cylinder action, and usually those operate double action, single action. Maybe that would be grandfathered into this or would be immune to it. I'm not so sure on that. So it would definitely take some further digging into this, which I definitely want to do. So Virginia, blueprint what's going on, and this very well may make a lot of people, innocent people, criminals immediately overnight, as the Virginian government with their new governor leading the helm goes completely full tilt into communist behavior, and which is a tragedy for the state that essentially was the origin of the United States. So very, very sad indeed. Get out there in your local elections, pay attention, and exercise your rights, because a right that's not exercised is a right that can be taken away. So, hey, our class lists are actually posted on the website, and we'll show a picture up here at the very end of this. And thanks for sticking around, guys. Remember, stay prepared, not scared. God bless, and good night.